A very good morning to one and all. Today we are discussing about another small topic that is nasal and laryngeal obstruction. Maybe you studied in the first year about the foreign body obstruction in the nose, throat, and all. So it's also like that only. So let us see the definition of. First, we will discuss about the nasal obstruction. So it is some blockage of nose or nasal cavity that we can call it as nasal obstruction. So another definition is it is a sense of blockage within the nose or difficulty to breathing out of one or both nostrils. So it is kind of a sense of feeling. So we are feeling that something is blocked in the nose, okay, or a kind of sense, okay, or experience, or sometimes difficulty to breathe out of one or both. Not we can't able to take breathe, or we can't able to breathe out through either one nose or both nostrils. So that condition we can call it as nasal obstruction. Let us see the causes. Mainly DNS. DNS means deviated nasal septum. So that is a nose nasal deformity, or is a deformity occurring on the nasal tract. So because of the deviated nasal septum it can occur. I'll take another class for that one. Then foreign body obstructions. Okay, any foreign body, if any foreign body is going inside the nose. In the beginning we have studied about foreign body obstructions or foreign bodies in the nose. So any of the foreign body can lead to obstruction in the nose. Then large adenoids. If the adenoid is, last day we have discussed about adenoiditis and all. So if any inflamed or any hypertrophied adenoid or a large size of adenoid can also obstruct the nose. Then infections like rhinitis, okay, adenitis, this all kind of infection also can lead to, or sinusitis, this can lead to no, nose obstruction. And epistasis, that is also another condition that can also, the clot formation is forming due to the bleeding. After that clot formation or crust formation, that can obstruct the airway. Next is the signs and symptoms. What are the signs and symptoms behind nasal obstruction? Breathing difficulty will be there. Patient, those who are experiencing nasal obstruction will show breathing in difficulty. Then mouth breathing. They can't able to take breathe through the nose. So mouth breathing will be there. Mouth breathing, otherwise we can call it as bad breath. Then dryness of the oral mucosa and associated problems including persistent dry cracked lips. Okay, so due to the mouth breathing, there is dryness will be occurring on the oral mucosa when you are taking oxygen inside. So that the oral mucosa will get dry, and also there will be persistent dry and cracked lips will be there. Then patient with chronic nasal congestion often suffer from sleep deprivation due to difficulty to maintaining an adequate airway while lying flat and during sleep. So they are having some kind of sleep disturbance or insomnia will be there, because when they are lying down they can't able to maintain the position. So they will feel breathing difficulty and they can't able to take sleep properly. So these are the signs and symptoms for nasal obstruction. Let us see how we can diagnose. Mainly history collection. Collect the history about the person, about the onset, duration, severity, and length. This all things we have to collect from the person. Any recent infections or any foreign body insertion. Okay, so a proper history we have to collect for diagnosing nasal obstruction. Then physical examination. Mainly nasal examination should be done. We can use nasal speculum for doing this nasal examination. And also on the other tests like nasal endoscopy, rhinoscopy, this all also will helps to evaluate and identifying the cause of the obstruction. Then CT scan, if we are not identified through this kind of x-ray or any other physical exam, we can go for CT scan and MRA. It will helps to give a detail about the size of the obstruction and location of the obstruction. It will help for the proper management. So these are the diagnosis for nasal obstruction. Let us see the management. Mainly we can give nasal steroid spray. So if, because now on almost cases the obstruction is occurring due to the congestion of the mucosa, so we can give nasal steroid spray. It will helps to decongestion of the mucosa. Then oral leukotriene inhibitors such as montelukast, okay, that also help for inhibiting the mucosa. So this will help give a relief from nasal congestion. Then antibiotics for the treatment of underlying infections. If there is any underlying infection like rhinitis, sinusitis, or adenitis, we can give antibiotics. Then antihistamines for management of allergies. Due to allergy also, the nasal obstruction can occur. So in that case, antihistamine we can provide. Then functional rhinoplasty. So that's a treatment. That's a reconstruction and reshaping of the nose. So we have seen the causes deviated nasal septum. So it's a septal deformity. So in that condition, we can go for functional rhinoplasty. So they will remold, reshaping or reconstructing the nose, and septoplasty. So if there any deformity in the septum, if the septum is deviated, then we can go for repairing of the septum. That is called septoplasty. So this is all about the management of nasal obstruction. Let us see the laryngeal obstruction. The larynx is a stiff box that will not stretch. The other name of larynx is voice box. So it is a stiff box. It will not stretch. It contains a narrow space between the vocal cords through which air must pass. Okay, glottis and epiglottis like structures are seen. So three or some valve like that you can see in the larynx. So that is called a vocal cord. So this vocal cord only the air is entering into the airway or in the upper airway. Let us see the definition. It is an obstruction of the larynx because of edema is a serious, often fatal condition. So it is an obstruction of the larynx due to edema. So the main cause for laryngeal obstruction is laryngeal edema, and it is a serious and often fatal condition. Okay, that laryngeal obstruction is a serious and fatal condition. Fatal condition means it can lead to death. Then swelling of the laryngeal mucous membrane may close off the opening tightly, leading to life-threatening hypoxia or suffocation. So once, when if you are seeing, you go and review with the anatomy and physiology of larynx. So from the picture you can see the vocal cords and all. So a small hole is there for entering the air. So once the folds or a glottis is getting swollen, or if it is enlarged, then it will completely obstruct the airway. So once the airway is obstructing, then the person will go for threatening hypoxia that can lead to death or suffocation. So this is happening in laryngeal obstruction. Let us see some types of laryngeal obstruction, mainly acute laryngeal edema. Edema formation on larynx with inflammation, injury characterized by hoarseness, dyspnea. It is managed by tracheostomy and epinephrine 1:1000. So that is a management they have given. And acute laryngeal edema means there is an edema formation on the larynx. How it is occurring? Due to inflammation or injury. So due to any inflammation or injury, if the larynx is getting edematous, that we can go to acute laryngeal edema. The characteristics are hoarseness and dyspnea. Person is having difficulty in breathing and the sound will change. Hoarseness sound will be there. And it can manage by tracheostomy. With the help of tracheostomy, you can manage this condition, or opening we are making on the trachea, that is called tracheostomy. And epinephrine injection also will help for this condition. Then laryngospasm. Spasm of laryngeal muscle occurs after administration of general anesthesia, traumatic attempt at endotracheal intubation. So laryngospasm means it is a spasm of laryngeal muscle, or the muscle is getting spasm or rigid. Okay, mainly it is occurring due to administration of general anesthesia. After administering general anesthesia, this laryngospasm can occur, or when there is a traumatic attempt to endotracheal intubation. When you are intubating the person, so intubation means insertion of endotracheal tube into the upper airway, so for managing or for providing proper ventilation. So in that procedure is an emergency procedure, and we have to take only little time for the procedure. So while inserting, if there is a chance of forceful insertion, that time the vocal cord will get trauma. Managed by established airway suction, oxygen neurotransmitter blocking agent like succinylcholine. So in this particular laryngospasm we can managed by oxygen or proper airway we have to supply and oxygen supply, and neurotransmitting blocking agent like succinylcholine. It will help for muscle relaxation. Then laryngeal paralysis, that is loss of sensation result of neck surgery or tumor. So if there is any loss of sensation due to neck surgery of tumor, that we can call it as laryngeal paralysis, or larynx is getting paralyzed. Then laryngeal injury, it often results from trauma during motor vehicle accident. So laryngeal injury is occurring when there is an RT or motor vehicle accident. So these are the types. Let us see the causes, mainly hereditary. It can laryngeal spasm or laryngeal obstruction, laryngeal paralysis can occur due to hereditary. Then valve disorder, okay, the folds, that is the valve. Here they have mentioned laryngeal valve. Though when the fold is getting obstructed, then thoracic surgeries, certain thoracic surgeries can lead to laryngeal obstruction. Then upper respiratory infections and foreign bodies. Any foreign body is gone inside the airway, that can lead to laryngeal obstruction. That are the causes. Then clinical features are breathing difficulty. Then they are having mouth breathing. Then dryness of oral mucosa, same like nasal obstruction. What are the signs? That same signs they will feel here. Then sleep deprivation will be there. So these are the common clinical signs or signs and symptoms. Then the diagnosis is same like nasal obstruction. Here also history collection we have to take. Proper history is needed. Then physical examination should be done properly with the help of laryngoscopy. Then bronchoscopy, laryngoscopy and endoscopy. So with the help of the laryngoscopy, you can visualize the larynx, and endoscopy will also help for identifying the type of obstruction or the cause of the obstruction. Then X-ray should be taken. Neck X-ray or throat X-ray will help for identifying the structure, shape, and size of the larynx. Then MRI and CT scan helps to evaluate and helps to identify a detail about the extension of the obstruction. Then the management including administration of corticosteroid, it will helps to relieve from the inflammation and infection. Symptomatic relief will be there. Then subdiaphragmatic abdominal thrust maneuver. It's a manual method. So if there is any foreign body obstruction in the larynx, so that we can remove or we can release with the help of this abdominal thrust maneuver. You have studied in the first year about abdominal thrust maneuver. Just go for a review. So we are placing in the picture, you can see that placing the patient like that, and we are giving a sudden thrust over the abdominal region. So the when you are thrusting the abdominal region, the pressure will coming upside, and that time the foreign body can come outside. Then other than this one, maintaining an airway, either we can use tracheostomy or endotracheal intubation. So that will help for maintaining an airway. Then oxygen administration, ventilation, then emergency tracheostomy should be done, and adenoidectomy, that is a surgical management for laryngeal obstruction. If it is due to adenoid, then adenoidectomy should be done. So these are the management for laryngeal obstruction. Then I am giving an assignment for you. What are the nursing management and prevention of nasal and laryngeal obstruction? It is a assignment for you. You have to prepare the notes. Then this all about today's topic. It's a small topic, laryngeal and nasal obstruction. We have seen what you mean by each one, nasal and laryngeal obstruction. What are the types or what are the causes? What are the signs and symptoms? Then we have seen how to diagnose and the management. So this all about today's topic. I hope all of you understand about today's topic. Have a nice day. Thank you.